Hello, everybody. Liam Murphy back, trying to win another best ball tournament, trying to win our fourth tournament and take down Ball Mania again. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Didn't give a lot of notice for this stream. Just ripped it live, so let the people stroll in. But we pulled the 112. I haven't been drafting many Ball Manias now that I'm up to 51. But occasionally want to be mixing in some Ball Manias. Most have been working with a lot of data, trying to get another article ready for my site over at beatbestball.com. If you want to check out my best ball work, you can find it at beatbestball.com. For those who subscribe to my site, we'll have fresh rankings later tonight. Not a lot's going to be changing in Underdog. I just need to update my DraftKings. New to Best Ball, new to this channel, content was super helpful. Appreciate you, man. Dan, gotta let us get in there with you. Make sure you join my Discord. The link to join is below. I notify on Discord, I notify on Twitter when I'm going live. Finally got to catch you live. Welcome, Brush. Welcome. The floors are done in the house, so rearranging the office is kind of what I got going on right now. I mean, Puka and Marvin Harrison, a week 17 stack, a bit of a unique combo in the sense that Puka usually goes around the 109, 110, and Marvin usually goes around the 112. So not easy to stack these guys. So yeah, a lot to like there. I know some people are a little worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, he's a rookie. You know, can we really take him in the first round? Or basically the first round. I personally am not too worried about it. He should be the number one target in Arizona. I think Arizona's a fun team. I love his week 17 matchup against the Rams, potential shootout. Floors look nice. I don't think I've shown the floors, so are you in this house with me? Good afternoon. What's up? Puka MHJ is another version on CD Lamb and Amon Ra. Feels so good. Yeah, but I would say it is, I mean, it's unlikely to produce the same, right? That was the nut start in some ways. And it's harder to get, right? You could get CD and Amon Ra a lot of the time. Puka and Marvin is only something I've done maybe 2 or 3 times. Liam, what's your hottest take going into the season? If you're not in my Discord or subscribe to my site, you're not winning. I don't know. You know, we got a lot of hot takes. Garrett Wilson, you know, I've talked about this, but these guys I want to start forcing a little bit more because I think there is a lot of similarities between Garrett Wilson and CeeDee Lamb from last year, where you got an offense who should be pretty good, assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and we're not very impressed with his secondary target competition, where he could just, 10 targets a game easily on a much better offense. The link to join my Discord is below in the YouTube description. I do not need to send you it. And the bot problem that I had in there seems to have gone away. I just kept on banning the bots, and I haven't had to do that recently. Is it good to worry about the bring back matchups if you can't get there first? So I understand what you're saying. You're saying, like, well, if we don't get to week 17, who cares, you know? And like, yeah, obviously, if you don't get to week 17, having a week 17 matchup doesn't matter, right? However, if you do get there, so you have to kind of think through, you are building a team that's going to get there. What do you want? And so week 17 matchups can do a lot of things for you. A, you're hoping that's the game that goes off. You're hoping it's the game that just has explosive scoring back to back. You're also hoping, or you're knowing that by stacking week 17 games in general, you're going to be getting, you know, unique player exposures where maybe you're biased against a certain player and you're going to use it as a tiebreak to get that player a little bit more than you would coupled with the week 17 matchup, you know? So let's pretend for whatever reason you are not taking Cooper Cup. You're like, I don't take Cooper Cup this year. But you did take Marvin Harrison Jr. that draft, or you took Trey McBride. That would be a good time to force mix in some Cup to get you can still benefit from the week 17 stack. And it's getting you exposure to some players that you may not otherwise be taking. Okay. So a lot of different ways you can go here. We could go elite quarterback. I think today, though, I'm just going to grab the two wideouts. I think the back half of the draft, almost every year, is a great spot to start zero RB. I've also noticed that 3 drafters in here have started triple wide receivers. So, potentially a position that's going to get started really soon. And by the time Curtis Samuel is the wide receiver to go, it's a pretty dead position. So Tank and Zay is also adding yet another week 17 stack. So we have Puka and Marvin playing week 17, and we have Tank and Zay playing week 17. There's a lot to like about that. Zay is my preferred bet on the Ravens as well. I take Mark Andrews sometimes, but Zay's got a lot of things going for him. Second-year wide receiver, explosive player. The Ravens playing the Texans week 17. You can make the connection to the Ravens playing the Dolphins last year. Maybe I should move this screen down here and full screen it. Let's do that. I find myself stacking week 16 more than 17. Bad idea? I think that is a bad idea. Week 17 is a little bit more important this year in BBM 5, Best Ball Mania 5, due to the minimum prize in Best Ball Mania 5 being higher than the year before, right? The minimum prize is $37.50. So getting to week 17 is more important. However, I feel like prioritizing week 16 over week 17 is a little bit more of a min cash strategy, right? And even though the payouts are not as top heavy, they're still very top heavy. Shout out my YouTube members, Bindles, MH. Become a YouTube member like them. Thoughts on Trey McBride for more stacking there? Yeah, I mean, guys, like individual things like that, where it's like, why didn't you do this player? The answer almost always is going to be, yeah, I think that's fine to do sometimes, right? So I think it is fine sometimes to overstack the Rams Cardinals game. I also think it's fine to have gone double wide receiver. I also think it was fine to go Josh Allen Kincaid. I could have also gone ETN and Josh Jacobs. There's a lot of different ways you can go. And I would not be saying, especially at the top of drafts, you need to have the mentality of, oh, it should always be this. Like, this is the correct way to do things, right? People have been saying this a lot about me. Just want to say this is my favorite basketball stream. No yelling, no gimmicks, just good insights and pleasant insights. Keep up good work. Yeah, I mean, I think a strength of mine is logical thinking. But man, I gotta I gotta up the yelling because people have been like, "Oh, this is a chill stream." No, no, we got to make this a little bit more dopamine receptive, if that's the perspective. People love the guest stream with Davis, so definitely gonna have more guests on soon. This is not a build I'd recommend doing a lot. Triple RB, double elite tight end, but it is unique. So if CMCH and Henry all smash, Andrews and Kincaid are in that mix for tight end 1 through 5. He gets the wide receiver value, gets the quarterback value. It could work. Talk a little bit about the Dowdle and Zeke situation. I wrote up all of the running backs almost from rounds 8 to 18, so I would just check out that article I've written there if you want to get deep insight there. All right, I like it in James Cook here at the end of the 5th round. Still a very explosive player. I guess we'll go Pitts. Pitts is a guy who the market is, scared of. Basically, the market's just gun shy on Pitts, but I really don't view his range of outcomes that differently from a guy like Andrews, McBride, Kincaid. If you told me Pitts is the tight end 1 on the season, I wouldn't be like, what? What do you mean? The really good tight end prospect who put up 1,000 yards his rookie year and finally has his best quarterback situation, who is always thrown to the tight end, had a good year. Think about TJ Hawkinson with Kirk Cousins. Now you got Kyle Pitts going roughly a full round later, and Drake London is not Justin Jefferson. Now Justin Jefferson got hurt last year, of course, and Darnell Mooney's not Jordan Addison either. But yeah, I really like Pitts. I feel like it's just people's bias against Pitts. People do not like to take players who've burned them in the past. And it is possible, like Kyle Pitts pushed through some injuries last year. My hope is a full year, he's going to be fine now. It's possible he's not, but I mean, it cannot be right that we are like, okay, Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, Drake London goes at the 1-2 turn, Kyle Pitts, keep him in the 6th round. Like literally no change from the Desmond Ridder offense. Why take Flowers at 36 when you can get Andrews in the 50s is how I view the Flowers price. Great. I'm happy you said that, Adam, because a lot of people think this way. And I would say a lot of people who come from a season-long background, just like when we're talking about, you hear this more with like similar player archetypes versus competing pieces on the same offense. And so I think an example would be like someone saying, why take ETN in the 4th when I can get Rachaad White in the 5th? Or why take Rachaad White in the 5th when I can get, pick your choice of running backs that you like in the 7th, Ramondre, Moss, whatever. And okay, so what you're trying to get at is you feel like one piece is either overpriced or you can get a similar season-long range of a player cheaper. That's nice. The truth is, though, we are playing an individual weekly game primarily, right? You have the season portion, weeks 1 through 14, but then you have 3 individual tournaments, right? Week 15, week 16, and then a pretty big tournament, like a mid-sized tournament, 500 people, where you're trying to win money. So if Zay Flowers scores 30 and Mark Andrews scores 10 week 17, That'd be a reason you'd want Flowers, right? Um, if Rashad White scores 30 against the Panthers week 17 and Ramondre scores 10, that tells you right there why you shouldn't, you know? So you cannot just, even if you feel a player archetype is overpriced, if you think it's a good archetype to be betting on in general, I would not recommend being too rigid about it. And I think in general, like it's okay to not want to be buying overpriced pieces, but like I would not say that applies to Flowers at all, right? You got a year two wide receiver for a first round pick last year on an offense that finally came to the modern era in the Ravens. So yeah, I don't agree that like, oh, can't buy Flowers because Andrews is there. The same way I don't feel like, oh, you can't take Kincaid because Keon Coleman's there, or you can't take Keon Coleman because Kincaid's there. So it's just all running backs uh, are available now. So, you know, good for us going RB heavy there. Pick number are we at? 84. Yeah, okay. So I think we'll grab Aaron Jones. He's not a guy I've grabbed a lot, but he's also usually he goes a little bit more expensive than that. And then we got our choice here. And I think today I'll grab Swift. So we got James Cook, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift start with Puka, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, and Kyle Pitts at tight end. Again, appreciate you all being here. If you haven't, please do like the video and click that subscribe button. I'm on the road to 5K. We'll have some giveaways of sorts once we get there. Could be there in 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks. I think Pitts is a freak athlete, but maybe a bad football player. I mean, okay. But what if Andrew scores 30 and Zay scores 10 in that example? Well, that would show you a good reason why you should mix, right? So it's fine to take Zay. It's also fine to take Andrews if you believe in the offensive quality. But you will never get Zay at the end of the fourth anymore. And Andrews, you can get well into the fifth. So yeah, why haven't I taken a lot of Aaron Jones? I mean, usually it's around I'm going wide receiver. Like I'm definitely taking most of these wideouts over him. And not the best offense in the world, probably in the Vikings. You know, there's possible upside having the rookie QB. Any team stacks you are completely avoiding? I wouldn't say completely. I think parity has really entered the NFL where there's very few teams I would say have like no hope. Whereas last year I was doing no Mac Jones stacks because I was like I really don't see the point. And I'm not trying to take Bryce Young a lot, you know, but I do take his pieces sometimes. But yeah, in general, like when I list out the teams with like the least current hope, I guess the Raiders top the list, but even the Raiders, and I'm only saying that because their quarterback is between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. And even them, I would say like Aiden O'Connell's second-year player, if he's the starter, there's your hope. Coupled with having Brock Bowers, having Devontae Adams, like even then, I would say you have some hope. The Patriots got a lot of hope. They just got their quarterback. They just drafted a lot of new offensive skill players. So we're gonna have the anchor of 4 quality wide receivers here, and we're gonna need to figure it out past that. Again, wide receivers are pretty barren land after them. It doesn't really seem like we're gonna be getting an early quarterback. I think Goddard's in the mix here, but I like Trey Benson, explosive player, so we'll take him. I mean, and we have a really high quality group of 4 running backs after we started 4 wide receivers, which is just how drafts kind of are in today's landscape. Yeah, let's go Goddard and be done. I was drafting no Goddard in the 7th round last year, but in the 10th round, I think it's a different equation. And getting Pitts and Goddard, two high quality guys. Goddard obviously has contingent upside. Yeah, I just think this type of thinking is too narrow for me. Zay's best weeks were with no Andrews. Had no 15-plus weeks with Andrews on the field and 5 with him out. Obviously, don't want to take games at 36. He's going to later, but my reason for being under on Zay. I don't feel the same about Zay. I think he was kind of moving towards the engine of the offense as the Ravens season progressed. I think it is still a question of if Mark Andrews will return to the same quality of player after having the injury he did. And again, you could easily see this being Lamar's best season passing. And he can easily support 2 players. He could easily support 2 skill position receivers. And you have the likely is a little bit of a, like with Kincaid, although people tried, no one is worried about Dawson Knox usurping Kincaid as a receiver. And I don't think it's particularly likely that likely usurps Mark Andrews either. But Mark Andrews, likely produced when he saw the field, so it's not impossible. So our start so far, James Cook, Aaron Jones, Swift, Trey Benson. For the large part, Cook and Swift, two offenses I like, and then Jones and Benson. We'll see about their offensive quality, but Benson, a rookie running back, explosive. I'm into him. Puka, Marvin, Zay, and Tank. Trey goes with the Puka and Harrison combo. And Pitts and Goddard. Yeah, and people do this with rookies a lot, right? Like, I think Kincaid's another example. CH is saying, need to analyze the end of the season with more weight than the beginning of the season. Zay's numbers really started to uptick towards the end and in the playoffs. Yeah, like if you try to, if someone is just touting Dalton Kincaid's ADOT and ignoring the, a split of it when things change, that's pretty useless. Wow, Rashad Bateman, 11th round pick. I will not be doing that. He's getting buzz, but I'm not doing that unless we get a really, really, really steady drumbeat on that one. Trying to figure out what quarterbacks I'm going to try to do. I have a couple different ideas there. Probably only doing 5 RB, but could get away with 6 too, having the quality of wideouts I do. And Aaron Jones has never been a perfect bill of health. I think Dobbs is a hard guy to analyze. I mean, Christian Watson was the one when he was on the field, right? So you can't just analyze. All right, let's go Brandon Cooks. And I like a lot of these running backs, but we're going to take Herbert and figure out a stack later. I still believe in Herbert's ability to be a top quarterback. If I had, unless I'm stacking, I'm never taking guys like Goff and Tua and even Trevor ahead of him. Although I do like Trevor and Herbert's a tie to me. And yeah, I would prefer to have Ladd. I would prefer to have Palmer. And I didn't need to go Herbert, right? Like there is Stafford later. There is Kirk Cousins later for stacks. But it's no guarantee I'm going to get one, if not both of those guys. And I can figure out some things with Herbert later. And then Brandon Cooks, a week 17 stack with Goddard. And I mean, should be at worst the 3 for Dallas, And like, if Ferguson is the 2, he's a higher A.3, Yeah, I mean, the best thing about Romeo Dobbs is, I mean, he's not a big separator, right? So we don't like that. He did produce, though, but it was a lot of like Love dropping the ball in the breadbasket. And obviously, he has contingent upside. He has downside too, right? He could be the wide receiver 4 on his team. Maybe Dontavian Wicks passes him. Maybe Bo Melton passes him. Maybe I can't remember the other guy passes him. But he had a solid year last year, so he's a guy I mix in. I don't take him a lot, but I do take him sometimes, particularly if I start RB heavy. I think he's a guy that makes sense to bet on and just hope you're getting far more production than this ADP is baking in. Who do I like better, Javonte Williams or Jerome Ford? I mean, I cost Jerome Ford 100%. Am I the only one who doesn't understand the fascination with Dontavian Wicks? I personally am not going overboard on the Wicks train like some people. Let's try to zoom this in, by the way. See how that does for us. Yeah, I'm not someone who's like massively chasing the Wicks steam. I will draft some Wicks, and yeah, maybe maybe he is the 3 on the team. Maybe Christian Watson gets injured again, and then he's the 3 by de facto. Maybe he climbs even higher, right? In general, it's an offense we want to take stabs on. And I think where he's going is appropriate, right? Okay, Jahan Dotson, a disappointing first-round pick. Maybe he's the 2. Maybe he's even the 3 on his team. Gabe Davis. If everyone's healthy, it seems like Gabe Davis will be a high A.dot target number 4, though, right? Wide receiver 3, but target 4. Jalen Polk, rookie, second-round pick, could be anywhere from the Patriots wide receiver 1. The other rookies, I'm not taking Wicks, though, over a guy like Brandon Cooks too much, who should just be the wide receiver 2 in Dallas. So we see Kirk Cousins did go to the Drake London drafter. This guy sent Rodgers a full round early, just wanting to get a stack. I would not recommend you do that too often with the quarterbacks past the Justin Herbert tier. I would take them either at ADP, which I'm going to be taking Stafford here, or even wait around because they do and will fall. Okay. Yeah, Jermaine Burton and Matthew Stafford seem solid here. Jermaine Burton, a high upside rookie. 3rd round pick to the Bengals. Rumored he could have gone higher if not for character concerns, so maybe he has higher talent. And then Stafford obviously completes their stack with Puka and our Week 17 game stack with Marvin and Trey Benson. And with Herbert and Stafford, that's a good enough duo to stop at 2. But I could add a 3rd if I feel like it. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4 more picks left. Appreciate it, brother. The team, if you're just tuning in, Herbert and Stafford, James Cook, Aaron Jones, Swift, and Benson, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Brandon Cooks, Jermaine Burton, Kyle Pitts, and Dallas Goedert. So I'm definitely stopping at 2 tight end. Most likely going to stop at 2 QB unless an appealing stack emerges. Maybe I'll just go 2 and 2 at running back and wideout. $69 live viewers right now. Nice. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you draft a lot, you just know that this is normal. M7 is saying, just got Kirk Cousins 34 picks past ADP in a BBM draft. Did something happen? I'm telling you, the Kirk, Stafford, Rodgers tier, they all can free fall in drafts at any given time. If you have an auto drafter, they're unlikely to fall. But you can get Rodgers in the 180s, so the 16th round. You can get Stafford in the 15th. You can get Kirk in the 15th. And so it's why I think it's fine to pass on them, even at ADP, unless you feel like you really need it, because you can get that ADP scoop, which obviously, if you could decide, you would always rather take your stacks around below ADP. Okay. All right, let's go Demarcus Robinson, add another wideout. And I mean, this guy's probably going to be here, but with me streaming and whatnot, maybe he won't. So let's take Demarcus Robinson and DJ Chark and call it a day at wide receiver. Chark usually goes in the 17th. Does it matter at all that I took him in the 16th? No, right? That's a point where I would not be so ADP tethered. And I'm probably going to end the draft with 2 running backs. So Chark is my stack with Herbert. I think he's a pretty decent guy to take where, I mean, if Quentin Johnston's not good enough, he could just see the field over him, right? Josh Palmer is good against man coverage, but is not like a huge down the field threat. Ladd is an explosive player, but we'll see how target dominant he is. And then going from Bryce Young to Justin Herbert's deep threat seems like a huge upgrade. Even if he is the wide receiver 4, he should have some games. I don't think that Ramondre is going to be there in the 18th round, but if he is, I'd tack him on for the stack because the Patriots play the Chargers week 17. A game that could be like an ugly shootout, you know? Oh, I was behind. Okay. um, and so yeah, gonna tack on 2 running backs here. So why not? And I like how it turned out. We got Herbert and Stafford. We got Cook, Jones, Swift, and Benson. Puka, Marvin, Zay Flowers, Tank, Brandon Cooks, Jermaine Burton, Demarcus Robinson, DJ Chark, Kyle Pitts, and Dallas Goddard. Our quarterbacks are stacked up. We have a Rams Arizona game stack. We have a Houston Baltimore mini stack. We have a Dallas Philly mini stack. And you guys can see, like, I'm not reaching wildly at ADP to make these game stacks happen. They're just they're tie breaks for me and or players I like already. We are probably not going to end up with any Patriots for a week 17 game stack with Herbert, and that's fine, you know. Because while I think the Patriots could for sure be a much better team this year, there's downside there too. Let's see how our friend in the one hole turned out. So his wide receivers, he went with Godwin, Deontay, Sutton, Palmer, Myers, Gabe Davis, Malachi Corley. Yeah, not the best group. Could it work? For sure, it could work. You know, he really just needs his 3 running backs and 2 tight ends to really, really be smashes. And he waited on 3 QBs, which I think in principle is the right idea for advancing with the start like this. So we have 2 more picks. And I'm probably going to get out of here. Need to get some food. And I need to do some more work. Trying to get this article out, or at least built for me to edit. And update my rankings, which you can see at beatbestball.com. Might go to Vegas this upcoming weekend to play a WSOP tournament, and then probably come back on Monday unless I make a deep run in it. Just don't have the time to be out there the whole summer this year. But want to play a tournament or 2. Been playing a lot of tennis lately too. It's just my preferred way of trying to get back in shape. I was the captain at my high school, but that was when I was 18, and I haven't really played tennis for a long time. Okay, Roshan, I like. Just kind of betting, even with us having Swift, I'm okay with that. Will Shipley, I like. high upside guys here too. But yeah, we'll double up on the Bears backfield, which, I mean, down the stretch, they got some outdoor games in that Chicago weather, so could be a little bit run heavy. I think with a rookie quarterback, it's conceivable that they're a little bit run heavy near the red zone, near the goal line. It's possible that Roshan becomes the goal line back. He's the biggest back on the team. Of course, Herbert could get traded or cut. Doesn't seem likely. And then Will Shipley taking a stab at the backup for the Eagles. Athletic freak, doesn't get drafted a lot. Got similar draft capital to guys we draft a lot higher. And adds to the Dallas and Eagles game stack we built out a little bit. So we end up with Herbert and Stafford as our QBs. Not the highest upside group in the world. I think Stafford could have a better year than he did last year, hopefully. And then Herbert is a to be determined with their new coach, but I generally like to bet on his talent. James Cook, Aaron Jones, Swift, Trey Benson, Roshan, and Will Shipley. So 4 running backs I feel pretty good about. And then 2 darts who you can see the vision for. Puka, Marvin Harrison, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Brandon Cooks, Jermaine Burton, Demarcus Robinson, DJ Chark. Really good wide receiver group, I think. 4 studs, a piece of Dallas's offense trying to catch some touchdowns, a piece of the Bengals offense, a stacked piece of the Rams offense who finished the year awesome. And obviously has contingent upside if Cup were to get hurt. And then, a spike week guy attached to the Chargers for a stack. And then Pitts and Goddard, 2 good to borderline elite options at tight end. Let's name this bad boy. This is number 52 on June 10th. It's streamed. All right, before we get out of here, give me a number 1 through 52, and let's look at an old team I drafted as well. First number. It's also a good way for me to see my stream lag. Lucky number 7. This was drafted on April 30th, so the day the contest launched. Actually, the second day of the contest. It is a Joe Burrow and Caleb Williams team. 0 running back team with Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, Chuba Hubbard, Kendra Miller, Roshan Johnson, Will Shipley, Evan Hull. Hull's a guy I've cooled off a little bit of drafting. I've been drafting him a lot. Trey Sermon got a little bit buzz as the RB2, but Evan Hull was the pass catching back. So seems unlikely Hull will be a 0 if healthy, even if Sermon back from the dead is the RB2 there behind JT. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett, Rashid Shaheed. So only went 6 wide receivers here and went a very rare triple elite tight end room. I almost always stop at 2 if I go triple, but I mixed in Bowers here, who at the time was an ADP faller, but clearly was trending this way. Kincaid, Kittle, Bowers, still a tight end room I love. And so it needs Chase, Adams, Moore, Higgins, all to be really solid. It needs Lockett and Shaheed to be solid. It's kind of, this was drafted before the schedule, and we fell into some Week 17 stacks. We fell into a Caleb, Moore, and Lockett Week 17 stack. We fell into a Shaheed and Brock Bowers game stack. We fell into a Kendra adds to that stack as well. Roshan adds to the Caleb Seattle stack. And we don't have any pieces of Denver, but I don't think we need pieces of Denver playing the Bengals. So hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I'll be back later this week. See you then.